Welcome to the ARDA.com's tutorial on how to explore the interactive historical timelines. In this tutorial, we will go over how to navigate the timeline homepage, open the interactive timeline, change the display options on the interactive timeline, search and read timeline entries, and finally, browse timeline web pages. To begin, let's click on the red Interactive Timelines tab near the top of the page. We are now on the timeline homepage. Below the American Religion Timelines banner is the theme of each timeline. In this tutorial, we will explore the timeline for prominent religious events and people. Let's start by clicking on the Interactive Timeline button. A small window will pop up, briefly explaining the interactive timeline. After reading the description, click on Continue to close out of the window. Click and drag the red box at the bottom to explore the timeline entries across history. Dates will be displayed above and below the entries to help you keep track of where you are. Entries are categorized into historical context, event, and biography entries. If you want to switch to a cool 3D mode, just go to the bottom left-hand corner and click 3D. If we want to change the display options, click on the wrench icon on the bottom right corner. The user can alter the displayed categories, like whether they just want to look at events, historical context entries, or just biographies. The user also can change the view type, so if they don't like the standard version, they can also click on category bands to have the categories layered on top of each other, or they can click on colored stories, which gives the timeline a lot more vibrant entries. If you don't like the spacing of the entries, you can also change that. Now you may be on the interactive timeline because you're interested in a specific entry. Click on the wrench icon and the search engine bar will pop up. If we're interested in Virginia's religious disestablishment, we can just type in Virginia's religious and see what pops up. Oh, there it is, the entry we were looking for. After reading the brief introduction, let's click on the More button. A window is now displayed with the title, introduction, and now a brief description on the entry. Below the main displayed picture are other related pictures. You can click on them to change the picture in the main window. Now if we're interested in more information on this entry, we can click on the Find Out More button below the description, which takes us to a new tab with a full timeline web page. This timeline web page will give you information like the founder of that event, the time period, interactive timelines that have this displayed entry, and some even have an extended narrative. The web page is just filled with more information and even includes related links to other timeline entries in areas of the website that might be of interest. Now maybe you're not interested in exploring the interactive timeline, but you'd rather just look at all the entries in list form. We can click on the Events by Date button, which will take us to a web page that lists all the events of that particular timeline in chronological order. If you prefer listing the events in alphabetical order, click on the Events by Name tab. Now if we're interested in people and not events, click on the Biographies tab. This will list all the biographies on that timeline by last name. Clicking on the Religious Groups tab will categorize all the entries on that timeline by religious family. Keep in mind that if you're looking for a specific entry, you can always use the search bar on the top right-hand corner. Now when we finally click on a timeline entry, we'll be taken to that entry's web page. Notice this is the same exact web page we get if we click on the Find Out More button on the interactive timeline. You should now be fully capable of exploring our interactive historical timelines. Thank you for watching this ARDA tutorial.